I'm not going to try to combat all the arguments. We'd be here for 30 minutes. I don't think I'd change anybody's mind, and we got a lot to do. But I want to start kind of from where I'm coming from, and I want to give that perspective. Because you hear a lot about constituent emails, you hear a lot about lobbyists, you hear a lot about this group and that group. And as I think many of you know in my background and where I come from and what I do, right? I think most of you would say that the reason why I carry this stuff is that I'm an idealistic civics teacher. And I would plead guilty to that. I would. And what I would say is that over the last 20 so years of my life, I have spent my entire professional career studying, teaching, discussing, revising what I believe is true about democracy and what makes our democracy healthy. And that is where I come at this from. And that is why I've carried what I've carried, and that's why I've made the arguments that I've made, whether it's been in public or it's been in private meetings. And you know, as a sidebar, I never planned on being here. I don't come from a political family. I'm a teacher in the suburbs, right? I don't have any political connections. What made me come here, what made me to think to come here were two things. One was the election in 2016. Going into my classroom every day and having to explain to my students how a candidate, sorry other side, but how a candidate was trampling on our Constitution, trampling on its norms, and trampling on political discourse. And it's only gotten worse since. And I blame not all of it, but a lot of it on the gerrymandering that we have seen in Congress that has facilitated an awful political climate. But that's not why I ran. I ran because of the gerrymandering that was happening here, where we had a supermajority that was holding back progress on Medicaid expansion, on anti-discrimination bills, on the minimum wage. And they could do so because of the lines they drew. And so that's why I came here, and that's why I fight the fight I fight. And when I look back on this year, the things that I am most proud of and the things that I think that we did that are the most important things are things like House Bill 1, Delegate Herring's bill for early voting. It's things like Delegate Cole's bill for the opt-out voter registration bill. It's things like pre-clearance. And I fit redistricting form within that because I think that all gets to the health of our democracy. Now, my colleagues have already heard this, but you know, when some of your best friends in this place, as many of you know, it is my best friends and it is my allies, my closest confidants who are against this bill the most adamantly. And I respect the hell out of them. And I respect their arguments. And I think they respect mine too. And so when that happens, and when I have another side of the aisle that spent $1 million lying and calling me a socialist for 3 months, who are my biggest advocates, one second guesses one's thoughts. One second guesses one's priorities. One looks back. And so I have scoured this amendment. I have scoured this enabling legislation. I have talked to everybody I could possibly talk to, whether it's in this body, the other body, whether it's professionals, whether it's constituents, you name it, who it is, to make sure I'm doing the right thing, and to make sure I'm doing what I think is the right thing. And that's why I have landed where I have landed. And you know, I'll conclude with one thing, and I will go after one argument. One argument that's been made about this is that even advocates say that it isn't perfect. And then that gets weaponized into, well, it must be bad. But there's a difference between it's not perfect and it's bad. If it's bad, you should vote no. If you think it's bad, you should vote no. You're not going to get any second guessing from me, right? But I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's perfect. L'État is not, c'est moi. I am not the state. I do not get to dictate policy for the Commonwealth of Virginia. There are some things I would have chosen to be in there that are not in there and vice versa. But I do think it's a good product. I do think it moves us forward. And that is why I will be voting yes for this. And I thought that those remarks should be on the record. So thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members of the body.